All right, pop quiz. What does Alex Pereira, Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vittori, and Paulo Costa all have in common? Give up? These are 4 people that Khamzat Chimaev never had to fight to get blessed with a title shot against Dricus DuPlessis. By the way, he gets to leapfrog even further, okay? First moving up, 10 spots in the rankings? He's at number 3 right now. Well, guess who's at number 2? Oh, I don't know, a guy you might have heard of. Israel Adesanya. Doesn't have to fight him. Guess who's ranked number 1, who's supposed to be getting a rematch that was promised to him because everyone knows he won that fight against Dricus? Sean Strickland, ranked number 1. And Khamzat Chimaev gets to bypass all these people, all these major superstars to get a title shot. Now, let me make it very clear because there's so many casuals. I never realized what a cesspool of idiots and just people who, I don't even know if you guys watch the fights. Some of you who comment and say really stupid shit. I really, do you guys understand that what I'm saying is accurate? It's not up for debate or opinion, all right? So listen carefully. Listen very carefully. Khamzat Boris Chimaev is a great fighter. I like him as a fighter. As a matter of fact, I like the new Khamzat Chimaev over the old guy that was always screaming and talking all this bullshit. I fight everybody. But of course, he ended up fighting nobody at all because how many times has he pulled out of fights? For random reasons. All right, so look, he was supposed to fight Leon Edwards way back in 2020, right? And it was canceled 3 times. The first time, that was Leon Edwards' fault. Got it, no problem. The second time, it's not that he tested positive for COVID. It's because he said he was recovering from COVID. Then it was scheduled a third time and he pulled himself out, not because it was COVID, but because he said he had some other illness. And I remember he posted pictures where he looked really screwed up. It was something wrong with his face. He had all these things. Like something happened there. All right. So he doesn't even have to fight Leon Edwards. Great. No problem. And this is when he was in a different weight class, granted. But still, I'm just telling you that this was one of the problems plaguing Khamzat's career since he first came in. Talking all this fucking shit about, I fight everybody. Bro, maybe if you conserved all that energy, you wouldn't have been so sick, but I digress. And then of course, he was supposed to fight Robert Whittaker the first time, and he pulled out because of some undisclosed illness that looked very similar to the other face one. I don't know if he has a really good makeup artist. I mean, obviously, I know that he has some sort of sickness, but it's just like twice in a row, he had the exact same undisclosed mystery illness. I mean, to me, it's just like, he doesn't want to disappoint fans because the biggest disappointment to me in the UFC, a fight that everyone should have seen, was Nate Diaz versus Khamzat Chimaev. Then you guys, Nate Diaz, he was going to get his ass kicked anyway. Yeah, you idiots said the same thing about Gilbert Burns and Khamzat. You same fool said that, Khamzat was going to walk through Gilbert Burns because of what Usman did to him, right? And yet, Gilbert Burns, everyone knows. Go back and watch the Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev fight. I already went over this multiple times. I'm not going to break it down like I already did. Go listen to my other podcast, earlier podcast. Search for it, look for it, listen to it, have fun with it. There is no doubt in anyone's mind who watches that fight. And I think if you pulled Khamzat aside now and said, brother, do you think you won that fight? But no, brother, there's no way I won this fight, but I'm happy the judges find it my way because, brother, I try, I fight everybody. Because that's the new Khamzat Chimaev. He's changed his name from Khamzat to Khamzat Chimaev, who I like, by the way. I like the new Khamzat Chimaev. I'm really not into this loud screaming bullshit because it's pure cringe, but he's not cringe anymore. And I like the fact that he didn't shave his head. He looks like a respectable young man who just wants to fight and represent his country and represent his people, and he's a great fighter. I am excited to watch him fight anyone. But getting back to the main fucking point, when he missed weight for the Nate Diaz fight, it was like he was telling people, I don't care. Look at the weigh-ins for Nate Diaz versus Khamzat Chimaev. He's saying that he was sick. He gets on the scale, he's laughing, he's flexing, he's like, well, guess I showed up. They had to rearrange the fight. They took him off the main card, so I'm sure, obviously he got some pay taken away from him. He walks through Kevin Holland, which was idiotic. I mean, that fight should have never happened. That's a mismatch of the highest fucking order. That was a ridiculous match. That match never should have happened. And then you get a battered Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz. And, all you people, it's like, oh, well, fucking Nate Diaz would have got destroyed. Nate Diaz almost knocked out Leon Edwards. And the only reason why he didn't knock out Leon Edwards, and by the way, that was in the 5th round. The only reason why he didn't knock out Leon Edwards is because he started doing that stupid pointing shit and, that Stockton slap shit. And his coaches, I guess, told him to be careful at the end. He even said he should have pushed a lot more forward early on. He dominated Edwards in the last round, not only because of his cardio, but, mean, he's just a great fighter, you know? I was talking in my last podcast about the difference between, you know, you people who say that there's such thing as a fight IQ. There is no such thing as a fight IQ. You have warriors who know how to fight and love to fight and just have a really tough chin and really great natural cardio. Yeah, he works in his cardios and, you know, his cardio. And yeah, his brother has the endurance to swim from, you know, from Alcatraz to some other shit or multiple times, whatever the fuck. All that shit has nothing to do with your MMA fighting in that cage. It has nothing to do with it, because there's plenty of people who have great cardio out of the cage, but then they get punched in the face and everything changes. So, you know, again, with the breathing on the water shit and, you know, I breathe so well outside, brother. I don't know what happened. I have to go to the mountains to breathe better. None of that shit's gonna help you. Want to know what's gonna help you? Being a fucking warrior, which Nate Diaz still is. I mean, he got in there with fucking Jake Paul. Hello, wake up, guys. Boxing, and he did fucking great. Anyway, I digress. Nate Diaz would have he would have totally taxed Khamzat, because that was supposed to be a 5-round fight, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but go back and check, because, you know, I think there's one fact checker out there who gets everything right, and then this other little guy who posts on my page because he's upset. He's like, brother, you're wrong all the time. It's just amazing to me that people are still going to doubt the fact that people can actually get to Khamzat, because if you plan against Khamzat the right way, the same can be said about Ilia Topuria, who is going to get destroyed if he, you know, decides to go against Islam Makhachev. Again, look at my last podcast for that full breakdown. But Khamzat Chimaev, basically, you know what he's going to do, right? He's going to fake a couple of times. He's going to set up the right. Then he's going to fake show you the right. He's going to go for the double leg, single leg before he gets the cage. He has a variety of ways to take you down. He's going to take you down. He's going to sit on top of you. He's going to choke you out, and that's the end of it. Now, Robert Whittaker tapped a little too quickly, but that's because he went in there with a jaw issue. But all these guys fight with issues, and you know, I'm not taking anything away from Khamzat. No way in hell. I'm just bringing up that Khamzat did it again. Like Khamzat just does this to everyone, except he couldn't do it to Gilbert Burns, because Gilbert Burns fought him back with jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu would be one of the keys. But you just have to be a really smart striker, and you have to have sufficient wrestling to not allow him to take you down. You know, again, there's no such thing as anti-wrestling. The same way that there's no such thing as fight IQ, there's no such thing as anti-wrestling. You're a good wrestler or you're not a good wrestler. You know how to prevent a takedown, therefore you are good at preventing wrestling takedowns. That makes you a good wrestler. And if you get taken to the ground and you get dominated, it's not because you're not a good wrestler, it's just because you went against someone who's a better wrestler. And in this case, if Khamzat gets you to the ground, 99% of the time, he's gonna maul you, he's gonna fuck you up, unless your name is Gilbert Burns. Again, he's a great fighter, but throughout his career, Khamzat, he's just had so many disappointments. I don't see how you reward him with a title fight, especially since multiple times Dana White has said that Sean Strickland will get the rematch with Dricus next. And then we see Israel Adesanya, after losing to fucking Sean Strickland, he also gets rewarded with a title shot against Dricus, who completely exposed him for being a shit fighter now, because Alex Pereira got into his head and he just completely took the spotlight from Israel Adesanya, who was the dominating king. He was the face of the UFC, man, for at least 2.5 fucking years, at least. And then Alex Pereira came in, he took the belt, and even after Israel beat him again, Alex Pereira was still at the top because he decided to move up to light heavyweight, and now he's dominating that division, beating all these great fighters. So Israel Adesanya is in a weird, depressed state. You know, he lost his last two, Sean Strickland, Dricus DuPlessis, and the only fight to make, the only fair fight to make, and it will be an amazing fight for UFC 310. Especially, I'm so disappointed that Shavkat will not be facing Bilal Muhammad. That is a true, pure UFC MMA fighters, fucking, you know, just pure MMA fan fighters fight. That is something that real fans wanted to see. I wanted to see it, and now people are talking about, well, maybe Leon Edwards versus Shavkat. Yeah, that would be okay, but I gotta be honest, I don't like Leon Edwards either, because you know, he does a great job in the cage, but he doesn't really seem like he's someone who cares anymore. You know, he won the belt, he lost the belt, and that's it. You know, and you know, I definitely don't want to see a rematch between Bilal and Leon, and it sucks that Bilal is now out. I don't think Shavkat versus Leon should be an interim title fight, because you know, you can't really control injuries. Then again, if Bilal gets injured a second time, yeah, okay, fine, throw up an interim fight. But Shavkat versus Leon, yeah, that would be kind of cool. I mean, I think Shavkat is going to completely dominate Leon, but yeah, I mean, I'll take that for the replacement fight for UFC 310. But why not make the headline fight the headline fight right now, Israel Adesanya versus Khamzat Chimaev, and just let Dricus and Sean fight in January or February, whatever, and then whoever gets the belt in that fight fights the winner of Adesanya versus Khamzat. What is the mystery here? Why is this not happening? Now, again, listen to what I'm saying, you idiots who comment. I'm not saying Khamzat should be blamed for getting this leapfrog shit. I mean, you know, there's one person to blame, and that's Dana White. the hypocrite Dana White, who bitches and moans, which is, again, like there's something wrong with his fucking brain. He bitches and moans that Khalil Roundtree doesn't move up, even though he just got destroyed. He didn't just lose. He got his ass kicked by Alex Pereira. And he's like going crazy that like he wants to take over the rankings and come up with some sort of stupid AI system, which by the way, it's not even AI. All the shit that you guys are calling AI is not AI. It's just a fucking performative chatbot, which is just fucking reading all the shit from Google, which is not impressive. But man, I'm not going to go down that fucking rabbit hole. Go listen to fucking Joe Rogan for that shit. And getting back to the UFC, because that's right, I digress. So he goes crazy because of this Khalil Roundtree shit, but has no problem with Khamzat Chimaev jumping over everybody, brother. I don't care. Leapfrog. We don't even have frogs in my country, brother. We killed them. No, he doesn't say shit about that because he's a hypocrite. The same way, smacks his wife, starts slap fighting. Anyway, getting back to the issue at hand. The issue on both of my hands. The issue in both of my hands, one of them with my hand on my balls and the other one holding this microphone. There's only one issue, and that is that Khamzat keeps getting rewarded. And Khamzat is not going to say no to fighting Israel Adesanya. As a matter of fact, do you know how much money both of those guys would make for a non-title 5-round fight as the headliner for UFC 310? It doesn't matter that there's no belt on the line here. Create a new fucking belt the same way that Nate Diaz, by the way, Nate Diaz should have been the one credited with creating that belt because he's the one that said, I'm the baddest motherfucker out there. And you know, I think the only guy to fight to see who the baddest motherfucker be Jorge Masvidal. I just not gonna snack on that motherfucker shit. He's the real G, but I'm an OG, so we're gonna go out there and see what's up, you know what I'm saying? Right? And then of course Dana White with this amazing idea, which wasn't even his. I'm gonna make the BMF title belt, and then I'm gonna have The Rock hand it out. Well, I mean, thank you, Nate Diaz, for making a new belt that people actually give a shit about. It's kind of cool. I mean, you got Ilya fucking Topuria spending money buying a fake BMF belt, which is idiotic because he has the championship belt for the featherweight division, but he buys a BMF belt because he likes it? That's crazy. Thank you, Nate Diaz, for making the UFC much more fucking interesting. But that's right, motherfuckers. I digress. Khamzat Chimaev would gladly fight Israel Adesanya. I think the person who would not fight Khamzat Chimaev would be Israel Adesanya, because Adesanya, man, the way that he was talking after he got beat from Sean Strickland. First of all, he gets his ass beat, and then he shows up to the press conference with sunglasses, and he sits down for like 5 seconds. I'm gonna go let my coach talk, and then his fucking coach walks in there. He's like, yeah, you know, sometimes we fought is they need to be protected, so whatnot. I'm gonna be speaking for him instead, yeah. And you know, he starts talking, and it's like, well, wait a minute. This is Adesanya, the guy who's supposed to be the guy who takes losing, you know, in like a positive light. He then makes a series of videos where he's talking shit about Sean Strickland for crying. Then he shows up to the Dricus DuPlessis press conference and cries like a little bitch. The same way he calls Sean Strickland a bitch on his fucking YouTube page. He cries like a little bitch because you don't know my story. You don't know where I've been. You don't know what I've been through, me and my family. Bitch, we know what you've been through. You've been through a life where you were catered to, where you weren't as smart as your brothers or sisters or whatever you have. Definitely a brother who's smarter than you. He went to college. You dropped out of college. You had no skills except for dancing with a bunch of white people, and you knew some breakdancing shit, and then you begged this guy, Eugene Behrman, who basically took you off the street so that, I mean, not that you were poor, but I mean, he took you out of the street because you walked into his gym and he said, basically, go fuck yourself. I think you should go to another kickboxing gym because you're not like good enough. You're not ready. And then you came back a second time and he's like, all right, fine. You keep showing up. I'll let you in. It's like, thank Eugene Behrman, a guy who you never give credit to anymore, it seems, for like saving you in your life and actually having money and allowing your family to respect you again. Right? Man, I was such a huge fan. You know, it's like I'm so disappointed. Like, I was such a huge fan of Israel Adesanya. And then when it was revealed, wait a minute, now I see why he wasn't liked early on in like the past. And I don't mean in MMA, but it's just like there's so many stories where like, you know, you hear that he's talking shit and it's just like, no, you know, he definitely matured and he changed. No, this is the guy that he always was. He just has a lot of money and now he doesn't really care about fighting. So he makes all these videos against Sean Strickland. He doesn't allow him to fucking bask in the, you know, in the spotlight or whatever the fuck, right? And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of bored with striking. I think I'm going to try some other stuff like jiu-jitsu or whatever the fuck. And he made a statement right after that fight that he's basically perfected striking and he's bored with it. So when he gets to fight with Dricus, he thought he was going to go in there and outstrike Dricus. Not only did he not outstrike Dricus, but he tapped out. First time ever in his career. Unbelievable. Gets submitted. And it's like he doesn't care because he made like $2 million for that fight. A guaranteed $2 million. And he doesn't have the, I mean, he even publicly said because he's such an egomaniac Maniac. He revealed to everyone that he has a better deal than most fighters who are in who are current belt holders and who currently headline major shows, that he has a better deal than them because he doesn't have to worry about winning. He has a guaranteed bonus no matter what. And he gets all these other incentives, and like he makes sure his family's taken care of. I mean, you know, fine for that. I think he deserves all that. But why do you have to brag about it? And that's like beyond fucking cringe. Like he's like, I don't know why people say I'm cringe. Well, this is why, motherfucker. You know, I mean, it's pretty easy to cringe when you hear shit like that going on. And you know, he's talking all this shit, and then he goes back to his page and he's like giving these like responses to these current fights, and the way he's talking, it's like, bro, you just lost twice in a row, right? And it's obvious. Here, I'll give you another example of why I really stopped liking him. When no one was paying attention to Alex Pereira, I made a video that said, you better pay attention to this guy because he's going to come from kickboxing, come to the UFC, because he was already talking before when he was still kickboxing. He was like the 2-time champion, by the way, in both the exact same divisions, welterweight and light heavyweight. And, you know, he basically was saying that he's going to follow Israel Adesanya to UFC and he was going to beat him. And when people questioned Israel Adesanya about that, he would say, he's just talk. He's not that good. He's full of shit. He got lucky. And then he comes and he goes through the fucking ranks, knocks out Sean Strickland. And by the way, he got fast tracked. You know why he got fast tracked? Because unlike Khamzat, he said yes to every fight. And also unlike Khamzat, he wasn't simply doing it with grappling. He was doing flying knees. It wasn't just the left hook. He was dominating every single person. And then they threw him in the fire with Sean Strickland and he just knocks out Sean Strickland. And they're like, okay, you're going to get the title shot. And everyone thought, again, Israel Adesanya was going to walk through him. First round, yeah, he caught him at the end, but the end is not good enough, you know? And then round 5, that's it. Amazing comeback. He wins the belt. Alex Pereira became the champion. Granted, gets knocked out in the next fight, but who do you want to see the third one? Israel Adesanya is like, okay, you know, that's it. The score is settled. Well, how the hell is the score settled when it's only 3-1? He beat you 3 times. You beat him once. You still got to beat him twice just to match him. Why not give the fans a trilogy? And he's the one who probably convinced Dana White to tell Alex Pereira to move up a division, something that he couldn't do because he failed and he lost against Jan Blachowicz, did Israel Adesanya, because he tried to be a double champion. He failed. And then Alex Pereira is like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. I'll move up because, you know, I guess the weight cut is easier. And because Dana White wants me to move up. And we all know the reason why Dana White told him to move up is because Israel Adesanya told him, well, why don't you just tell this guy to move up because I don't want to deal with his fucking shit anymore. And no one wants to see the third fight. Everyone on the planet wanted to see the third one because that would have been the equalizer. 3-1 doesn't matter. I mean, whoever won that fight to me is like, okay, well, you basically proved yourself because now you have a feel of how each one fights in the UFC. Whereas before, Alex Pereira dominated him in kickboxing. He won by decision the first time and then he won by a knockout the second time. First guy ever to knock out Israel Adesanya his entire career. It was amazing. And then he comes and TKOs him. Now you have this Israel Adesanya who is saying nothing in response to the possibility of fighting Khamzat because he doesn't want that shit. He knows Khamzat is a dangerous guy. And for Jan to already expose the fact that Israel has no wrestling and for Dricus to expose the fact that he's very submittable, it will be an easy fight for Khamzat. You don't think that would make a more compelling match if Khamzat completely obliterates and destroys Israel Adesanya with the new version of Khamzat, who's actually respectable, just says, brother, I come to fight, take money, go home, fight again, I fight whoever Dana White tell me, brother. You don't think that guy would be elevated to the fucking stratosphere when he fights either Dricus DuPlessis or Sean Strickland? You don't think that would be a better fight? I went through this in the fucking, in like another podcast. Think, use your brain. Let's say that we get Khamzat versus Dricus. Let's say Khamzat Chimaev wins. Well, no one's going to want to see a rematch with Dricus because Dricus isn't even a fucking self-promoter. He doesn't post shit anymore. Like he had this great rivalry with Israel Adesanya. He proved himself and that's it. And then it's like everyone knows he lost against Sean Strickland. He should be saying, no, I want that rematch because I have to now show in dominating fashion that I definitely won. But he's not giving him that opportunity. So if Dricus loses against Khamzat and Khamzat's the champion, does it really matter who Khamzat fights next? I mean, if he fights Israel, he's going to walk through him. But if he fights Sean Strickland, that would be such an amazing, compelling fight because Strickland is ranked number 1. So he would be the guy next in line. And they've trained together at Extreme Couture, which is Sean Strickland's gym. And they know each other. They know each other personally. They have sparred together. They train together. That would be, I didn't say they train, you idiot commenters who don't know how to fucking pay attention. I said they trained past tense together. And I'm sure every now and then that they train together. The same way that Sean Strickland trains with Alex Pereira. They're not like fucking, training partners all the time. But every now and then, Sean Strickland goes out to Connecticut and he helps out fucking Alex Pereira. And Alex Pereira trained him for the Israel Adesanya fight. So it worked out well. It was great. But that would be a great fight, right? But it wouldn't be a great fight then because now you have Israel Adesanya, I don't want to see Israel Adesanya versus Dricus too, because that would be the only thing that you can make in that situation. Let Sean Strickland and Dricus fight in January. Let Khamzat fight Israel Adesanya for UFC 310. Won't happen because of Israel Adesanya. I'm sure Khamzat would love that fight. Khamzat will fight anyone. Right now, I believe, again, the old Khamzat, I fight everybody, brother! Brother, I fight everybody, no matter what. Unless Ramadan, brother, I don't fight Ramadan. But the new Khamzat, brother, I fight everyone. I fight Israel. I fight Palestine. I fight everybody. I will fight Dana White. I will fight Joe Rogan. I will fight anybody. I fight Donald Trump. I fight Joe Biden. I fight Kamala. Baby money, go home. That guy I like. That guy will fight anyone. If you say, you know what? Here, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland right now, UFC 310. Not a compelling fight? Are you guys insane? You really want to see Dricus DuPlessis versus Khamzat and watch Khamzat walk through this guy? And now we have to wait for the next compelling fight in that fucking division? Like, who does he fight next? Paulo fucking Costa? No. No one wants to see that shit. I mean, let's go up and down the fucking list of everyone in that division. I mean, you know, fuck it. I mean, like, if you want to pick someone from that division right now who should leapfrog over a bunch of people and get a major fight, I think he should fight Robert Whittaker next, the guy I'm about to mention. Sharabutin Magomedov. And everyone keeps calling him Shara and they're not spelling his fucking name right. His name is Sharabutin Magomedov. The Bullet. He is unfucking believable, this guy. Watch his last fight. That amazing fucking spinning back fist elbow combination. Holy shit. And go to my Instagram page and go to my YouTube page and look at how many times I've been talking about this guy. I used to talk about Ilia Topuria like this. I don't like him now, but I used to talk about him when he was only 6-0. And I've been trying to tell you about Sharabutin Magomedov in this fucking division. And he really is deserving of getting a high profile fight with, I don't know, let's say Paulo Costa, Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vettori, like a name. And then from that fight, now we have something waiting for a guy like Adesanya or Strickland or even Dricus. And then just imagine for a minute, if at the end of 2025, we get a guy like champion Khamzat Chimaev, who not only proved himself, but walked through all those guys versus another prospect in Sharabutin Magomedov. Now we have something to look forward to in 2025 for that division. Because if Khamzat gets to fight Dricus DuPlessis right now, it's like blowing your load way too early and saying, why did I fuck this pig? You know what I mean? There's always regret. But if you say, let me wait a little longer, then you get the girl you want. There's no regrets. You live happily ever after. And that's it. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Khamzat Chimaev does not deserve a title fight with Dricus DuPlessis. Not because he's not a good fighter, but just because it is not a compelling fight. I don't care who the champion is. Khamzat Chimaev versus Israel Adesanya. Let that fight be the one to see who's going to be ranked number one. Let Sean Strickland, who's ranked number one, get his rematch with Dricus, and let the winner of each of those two fights fight each other. Now we have a compelling division. If we don't do that, then you know what? Brother, this bullshit, brother. This number one bullshit.